Hey guys, what's up? It's Johnny, and here is part 2 of my rant about my former friend Kay. Yes, as I said in the first video, um, due to the fact that it went over 2 hours and my editing place, which is Canva, does not allow me to go over 2 hours. So I had to break it up. And yeah, so this is now part 2 of my rant about Kay. As I said in the first one, look down in the description and you'll see the main points and the sub points that will be covered in this video. Let's get to the rant.
Alright, this section, everything having to do with Anna. So now, quick thing, after this now, this is everything that ended up happening. Baby girl and I have not been a couple for a while. We decided that we were better off friends than we were lovers. We were like brother and sister. But I ended up meeting Anna. So we're going to get into that. So in this section, the subsections are, I'm going to give you the backstory on how Anna and I met. I'm going to tell you an incident that happened with us at Hershey, Pennsylvania. About Anna moving in with Kay. The rules Kay put on me for when I would come to visit Anna. And then the fallout and accusations that Kay was making against, ultimately, me and Anna. So, okay. How Anna and I met. I met Anna. I was 17 at the time. I was in a band named Enzyme 304 with my then friend Karen, who I spoke about earlier, Senpai, and my friend James. I was a drummer for the band and a vocalist for the band. So one day after practice, Karen comes up to me and James and goes, "Hey, my friend Anna is having her Sweet 16. Do you want to come?" Or not even so much, do you want to come? It's like, almost, she was kind of like going, you guys are coming. I protested. Because I was not personally invited by the birthday girl or her family. I didn't even know this person yet. I didn't know Anna yet. She's a stranger to me. And, I'm thinking about, no, I'm not going to crash her birthday party. So, Karen ends up twisting mine and James's arm, and we go. I found out later on from Anna that was supposed to be an all-girls birthday. No guys allowed. Even at that time, I did not know she had somebody until later on. Even her own boyfriend at the time was not invited to the birthday. It was just all her girlfriends. So, awkward! But we go. And I will admit, once I met Anna, once I saw her, I know some people say they don't believe in love at first sight, but I fell head over heels for her. Gorgeous. even to this day, I will still sit here and say she is gorgeous. Our eyes met. We started talking, and one of the first things she asked me was if I was hungry. And I was like, I can eat. So she made me a bowl of pasta and broccoli. We literally sat in her kitchen for what felt like hours, just talking, shooting the shit, everything, getting to know each other. She was completely ignoring her guests, including Karen. It was like she only had eyes for me. She only was focusing on me. And, that ultimately made me feel really, really good. I loved it, As I've said, even if you go back to the one video that I mentioned, that if you saw the tab earlier about my Juggalo story, I was an outcast in high school. I really was. It's one of those things, like I say in the one video, I was too nerdy for the jocks and too jockey for the nerds. So it was like, to have this gorgeous girl focus just on me, it's like I was on cloud 9. So I eventually finished the bowl, and we go downstairs to her basement where the main party was. She introduces me to her bestie, who goes by the name, we'll call her Rio. And now, same thing. Like, yeah, Anna had all these other guests, everything like that, but she was like glued to my hip. I'm sitting down on the sofa down in the basement. She's either sitting right next to me or sitting on my lap and everything. And again, I don't know yet that she has a boyfriend. But she's doing all this while she has a boyfriend. So everything goes. She opens presents. We have cake. Everything like that. Karen, James. Karen's at that time boyfriend, Nick. We all stay for a while and then we end up leaving. Nick ends up bringing myself and James home. Because ultimately Karen lived around the corner, so it was easy for him to drop her off. Now when we get into the car, I'm going to Karen. I'm like, hey, Anna's kind of hot, and she really seemed to be into me. Any chance maybe you can give me her number? That's when Karen came out and said she's got a boyfriend, dude. I'm like, fuck. So, I was a little disappointed. Tried finding her on MySpace and everything, no luck yet. Then I find out, Anna goes to live with her dad in New Brunswick. So she's not even in Fanwood anymore. No chance of me running into her again. Shit. So time goes by. A couple of years go by. Karen invites me to this drum workshop. We're no longer in a band together, but she knows I enjoy drumming. So she invites me to like this workshop / performance kind of thing at the high school. I show up, and who happens to be outside getting air? Anna. She sees me walk up, and all I hear is, Johnny? I look up, I'm like, who the hell? And then she starts running up, she's like, Johnny? I'm like, who is this little 5'0" person. Because mind you, Anna stood in at 4'11", so I was giving her a little bit with 5 foot. So I didn't recognize her, and then she goes, "It's Anna." I'm like, "Holy shit!" Or "Holy shnikes!" She looked just as gorgeous as she did back when I met her. I found out Karen went with Nick, picked her up, and brought her to this event. So, literally, her and I stood outside talking for like a couple hours before we went inside. That night, we ended up going out to dinner to I want to say it was a Fridays out in New Brunswick. I remember it was New Brunswick because at that time, the PBA, the Pro Bowlers Association, was having one of their events at Carolier Lanes, which is no longer Carolier Lanes, in New Brunswick. So I saw the PBA trucks there, so we went. We had dinner. We're talking, everything like that. I unfortunately do find out Anna is now in a new relationship with a guy that she kind of came more clean to me when her and I were in a relationship. Let's just say because of the way that this guy treated her, I literally refer to him as the peasant. Maybe a story I'll tell another time, but not this one. So anyway, I find out she's with the peasant, and again, I'm bummed. But again, it's like she's at my hip. And before I knew she was with the peasant, there was one point her and I went outside for air, and we started making out. Even at one point, she wanted me to spend the night at her house with her in her bed. And her dad would have taken me to the train station the next morning to catch the train from New Brunswick back to Scotch Plains. Part of me wishes I did, but did not happen. So anyway, so now all that went on. And then, yes, like I said, eventually I introduced her to Kay. This was after Anna ended up moving back to Fanwood. But now, in between her still being in New Brunswick and moving back to Fanwood, to her mom's house, we now had each other. We had each other on MySpace, later on Facebook, everything. So Anna moves back into Fanwood. She starts coming over to the house more often, and eventually she leaves the peasant and comes to me. We dated for a long time, and I ended up eventually proposing to her on Valentine's Day. Now, yes, we were rocky. We had our ups, we had our downs. We did break up a couple of times, but, we were together. Like I said, I ended up proposing on Valentine's Day at Cheesecake Factory. So yeah, we were engaged. We were together. Yeah, so I'll get into some of the other points in a bit. But now let's get to the next point. Hershey, Pennsylvania. So, one year for Kay's birthday, Kay's mom bought her tickets to go see this band. No, I shouldn't even call them a band. They are a singing group that she is completely and utterly obsessed with. Now, okay, yes, you guys can say the same thing about me with Insane Clown Posse, but yeah, no, she is unhealthily, in my opinion, obsessed. Don't know if she still is, but at that point she was with one of the singers of the group, a gentleman by the name of Ryan Kelly. So much so that a little side note, there was one time Anna and I were at Kay's house. Anna wasn't living with her yet. And Kay went upstairs to go use the computer. Anna and I were sitting down on the sofa watching TV, cuddling. Next thing we know is we hear a huge, blood-curdling scream from the computer room upstairs. And, we ran upstairs to go see what was wrong with Kay. She did that because she went on to Ryan Kelly Facebook, and it said he was in a relationship with somebody that wasn't her. And I'll get into the story in a little bit, but it's like she honestly listened to a Ouija board that said that on this trip she was going to go meet all the members of Celtic Thunder, which is the group, and Ryan Kelly was going to fall madly in love with her, everything. So, okay. So anyway, she got these tickets for her birthday. 3 tickets. It ended up being, of course, her, me, and Anna. So we came to the conclusion, we're like, why don't we make a weekend out of it? Make it a vacation. A mini vacation. Anna and I were together for a while. We never got to really take a vacation together. This was even before her and I would go down to Mom and Pop's together. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We went down to Mom and Pop's maybe twice to 3 times before then. But this would now be an actual vacation where we got to go outside of the state. So I made all the arrangements. I got us Amtrak tickets. I booked us a hotel. And, I booked us a nice hotel. I mean, obviously, not the Ritz-Carlton or anything like that, but, it wasn't like one of the big Hershey hotels, like by Hershey Park. I booked us the Days Inn Hershey. Nice little hotel. I definitely recommend, if you're ever in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and, you want to go to the park, but you want to go for a couple of days and stay at a hotel, go reserve a room at the Days Inn Hershey, if it's even still around. Nice hotel, very clean. The breakfast they had was awesome. It's not that far away from the park. But so anyway, I made all the plans. I made all the reservations. So now let's get to it. Day before the trip, I had work. I was still working at ShopRite at the time. But they knew I could not work the next couple of days because I was going on this trip, on this vacation. So after work, I go back here to Mom's to get my sea bag, which, had my clothes, my nice clothes for the concert, plus just some fun clothes for the next days, everything like that. I don't even eat dinner. I go straight to Kay's because ultimately I'm spending the night, as is Anna, because we have an early train to catch at Metro Park Station to go into... I basically booked it to go from Metro Park Station to Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. So I go, I don't even eat dinner. The only thing Kay had for me to eat when I got there was popcorn. So yeah, the next day I was kind of hungry. So anyway, I get there, of course Anna and I are sleeping together. We're engaged, so we're sleeping together on the floor in the living room at Kay's house. We wake up, we get into her brother's car, and we go to Metro Park. So the way that it went is we took the train from Metro Park to Philly. And then we had to change in Philly to go to Elizabethtown. Now, while in Philly, I did get a little bit of breakfast, nothing much. It was literally a sausage, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel. I got, stuff like that for me, Anna, Kay. I got us stuff to drink. I got me a Monster. I think I got, Kay orange juice, and I got Anna, I think, either a coffee or an orange juice or something like that. And then, like I said, we hopped on our Amtrak to go from Philly to Elizabethtown. I found out later when we got to Elizabethtown, because I checked in on Facebook, that we were in Elizabethtown, and I got a DM from a really good friend of mine who was the former announcer for the now defunct independent pro wrestling company Jersey All Pro Wrestling. A guy who we used to always tease, and we called him the Giraffe, but his name was Mark Clemson. Mark and I were really cool, everything like that. I knew him, like I said, from Jersey All Pro, from JAPW. So when he saw I checked into Elizabethtown, he literally sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, welcome to E-Town," which is where he's from. So I'm like, yeah. He's like, what are you guys doing in my neck of the woods? Like, we're here. It's kind of like a stop. We're going into Hershey. He's like, oh, okay. And that's when I kind of found out. He goes, if you would have gone just one more stop up, you would have been closer to Hershey than you are here in E-Town. I'm like, wish I knew that ahead of time. I would have made that booking instead of this one. So eventually we had to get a cab because we found out that in Elizabethtown, cabs are not allowed to wait at the Amtrak. Well, it's not really an Amtrak station, but at the train station to take people places. So had to find a place to go get a phone book first and foremost, because this is before phones had the internet access. So had to go find a phone book to call a cab to go from Elizabethtown to Hershey. So we do that. We get to Hershey. We go check into our hotel. We go up to our room. We get settled in, everything like that. We take a nap. We're exhausted. Then we get up and we're getting hungry. So it's like, okay, let's go get dinner. Mind you, I haven't really eaten anything except that sausage, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel earlier that morning. I'm starving. And remember, I only had like a little bit of popcorn the night before for dinner. So because of, like I said, because Kay listened to the Ouija board, she believed that if we went to a certain restaurant, I forget which one now, she was going to meet Celtic Thunder and Ryan Kelly was going to fall madly in love with her. So we start to take the walk, and mind you, it was a couple of miles for a walk to get to this restaurant, because I did find it eventually. I went to the computers at the hotel, found it. As we started walking, I started to get very lightheaded. I'm getting really hungry. And I was not doing well. Anna noticed this. Anna's looking at Kay going like, hey, he's not doing well. Kay, being how she was, being as stubborn as she was like, oh, well, he can go back to the hotel by himself and you and I can go. Anna was basically like, no, I'm not leaving my fiance. I'm not leaving my boyfriend. Much to Kay's dismay, we ended up going back to the hotel. And we just went across the street to the, I believe it was a Walgreens. And we just got like, frozen foods. I think me and Anna split like 2 things of the White Castle burgers. Like the frozen White Castle burgers. Kay got something, I think like a TV dinner or something. And yeah, we just ate in our room. We got like sodas and stuff like that. Well, I got soda. Anna's allergic to soda, something with the caffeine, so she couldn't have soda. I think she just got like juice or water, something like that. So that was that, and then so the next day was concert day. So we all get up and everything, and Kay's excited. Of course, she loves this band. She loves this group. She's going to get to go see them live. Her first time getting to see them live. So, we all get up and everything like that. And, we go downstairs for breakfast. We go back to our room, and, we're hanging out for a little bit. Kay goes into the shower, gets showered up, gets dressed, and she leaves way earlier than us. Because she wants to be there for when the guys get there, they go into the venue, everything like that, try to meet them, and so forth and so on. And as she put it, it was a chance to give me and Anna alone time as a couple. So I will admit, again, without getting X-rated, Anna and I did take advantage of it. we did have, as I will say here, we had sexy time. And then yes, Anna and I got dressed. And we started to head over to the venue ourselves. We did stop and we got lunch. We stopped at a pizzeria and we got some pizza. And then, yeah, we headed over to the venue, met up with Kay, everything like that. Got into the venue, saw the concert. Anna had a little issue with the peasant. So she got a little pissed off and ended up getting a little tipsy. Not drunk yet, but tipsy. So after the concert, we're starting to walk back to the hotel, and it's late, and again, we're hungry. So we're trying to think of places where we can go and eat. Now, here's something, too, I neglected to mention before. When making these plans, Kay came up with this idea. Anna and I were not having it, but she came up with this idea that while we were there, Anna was going to split her time between the two of us sleeping with each other. So as she put it, it was going to be the first night Anna was going to sleep with me, second night Anna was going to sleep with her, final night Anna was going to sleep with me again. Yeah, Anna wasn't having it. Neither was I. We were like, we never said it to her directly, but we kind of were like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So, so that night, as we're walking back from the venue, like I said, Anna's tipsy. We stop at a Italian place because I looked on the hotel key and it said, you go to this place, you get like 25% off the bill. So we went in, and I'll admit I was in the spirit. I got a Guinness, and I shared it with Kay and Anna. So Anna got even more tipsy. So it got to the point, tipsy-wise, that when we finally got back to the hotel, I was going to the front desk, because the next day we were going to Chocolate World at Hershey Park. Now, the park was closed because it was October. Excuse me, but, Chocolate World is open year-round. So I went to the desk to try to get walking directions, or see if we would need to call a cab to get from the hotel to Chocolate World. Now, like I said, Anna's tipsy. I look at Kay and I'm like, hey, can you get Anna upstairs, get her ready for bed, and I'll be upstairs once I get the directions and everything to Chocolate World. And Kay's like, yeah, no problem. But now again, remember, in Kay's mind, Anna is sleeping with her that night. So I get upstairs, I get everything, I get upstairs, and Kay got Anna into her nightie, which was basically just one of my t-shirts. And she was a little upset because Anna was in our bed, not with Kay. So she was a little ticked off, a little pissed off about that. So now again, I'm not going to get X-rated. I will say this. Anna and I did not do the do. We did fool around. Nothing big, we fooled around. We honestly thought Kay was fast asleep. So the next day, we go to Chocolate World, we go have fun, everything like that. We go back to the hotel, we hang out. I think we ordered Chinese food that night. We had to get up early the next day to go catch the train to go back from Elizabethtown back to Philly, from Philly to Metro Park. About a month or two later, Kay gets really upset with me and Anna about something, and as she put it, her exact words were, we ruined her birthday because of the fact Anna and I fooled around in a hotel that I paid for on a trip that pretty much, again, except for the tickets to the event I paid for. So, again, you know. Next part. Anna moves in with Kay. So there's an incident that goes on with Anna and her sisters. I'm not going to get fully into it, but her sisters end up kicking Anna out of the house. Anna has no place to go. Mom and Dad will not let her stay here. So I talked to Kay. Kay loves the idea. Kay talks to her mom. Her mom is on board. So Anna moves into Kay's house and lives with Kay and her mom and her brother. Which is great because this is easier now for us to see each other instead of her possibly having to move to New Brunswick, and then me having to get all the way to New Brunswick to go and see her. But yeah, that ended up not going the way we planned, not going the way we hoped. And now I'll get into this a little bit more later with something that Kay said on Facebook that I found. Anna offered to give Kay's mom money for living there, rent. Kay's mom said, no, keep your money. Everything like that. So it kind of went very, very downhill. There were other incidences that I'm not going to bring up because I don't want to throw around. I believe Anna with what she told me happened. Without going into detail, I'll just put it this way. There was one morning Anna woke up and Kay was doing something to her without consent. So yeah, take that what you want. Anybody who knows the story, who I've told personally, you know the story, you know what happened. For those of you who are truly close to me, you want to know what happened, I will tell you not in this video, I will tell you over the phone or in person. Now, on to the next part is the rules Kay put on me with everything with Anna living there. So this was kind of like one of the biggest rules of all. I'm one of those boyfriends where if I'm going to see my girlfriend or something, I may just want to, out of nowhere, bring her a gift. So I'll give you an example. If I'm walking from my mom's house to Kay's house, I go past a thrift shop. Let's just say, pure hypothetically, I saw a teddy bear in the window of the thrift shop. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Anna would love that teddy bear. Because, in a certain way, what girl would not want to receive a stuffed animal, a plushie, from their, boyfriend, fiance, girlfriend, their significant other? I'll put it that way. Just in case someone watching this is, lesbian or bisexual or gay, who wouldn't want to receive a gift like that, like a gift, like a plushie or something like that from their significant other? Kay started to put a rule on, as if like she was a 2-year-old, to where if I brought Anna any kind of a gift, I had to bring one for her too. I had to give her a gift also. 3 guesses what I didn't follow. Because to me, I'm like, no, that's asinine. You and I are not going out. You and I are not in a couple. We are not... Now, back then, I never knew the word for it. Now I do. It's like we are not in a throuple. Anna and I are the one that are together. Anna and I are the couple. I will bring my fiance, my girlfriend, a gift. Now, yeah, if I want to be nice or something and I want to bring you a gift, that's a different story. But, you're not going to force me to where if I bring a gift for my girl, to bring one for you too. So now the final part. The fallout and accusations. So there was one point in time where Anna and I were seriously starting to sit there and go, you know what? We want to move this along. We want to start sitting down and planning our wedding. we had ideas. We had basic ideas of what we wanted to do. You know, we knew we wanted to have our wedding on the beach. We knew kind of like somewhat of a color scheme. We knew somewhat of a theme. But now it was time. We needed to start putting all that together. You know, we need to try to find out, like, in the state of New Jersey, what all do we need? What permits do we need to be able to have the wedding on the beach? You know, what all, like I said, what all permits, what all anything do we need? We need to try and find a venue for the reception. Think about, like, I had ideas of who I wanted as my groomsmen. She had ideas of who she wanted as her bridesmaids, and, like, you know, of course, her maid of honor. I already knew my best man was going to be my brother. Just like the day I do finally get married, you know, my brother is my best man. Even though he refuses to wear the kilt, damn it. That's a different story. But, so anyway. So now with this, like, yes, Anna and I still wanted to stay friends with Kay. No ifs, ands, or buts, we did. But we needed to distance ourselves a little bit, because Anna and I needed time for us to be able to sit down with certain people, whoever, to plan this wedding. When I talked to Kay about it, her exact words were, she took it as she put it, I was breaking up with her. Which, again, I sat there and I'm trying to be like, no, I'm not breaking up with you, Kay. We were never in a relationship to break up from. But eventually, you know, she basically ended up, she kicked Anna out of the house. Anna ended up going to live with Rio for a while, and Rio's then fiance, now ex-husband. Which that did make it a little difficult for me to see her as much as I did, which sucked. But, so one of the biggest accusations that Kay made about me was, as she put it, I was using her house like a brothel. For whenever I would spend the night and, you know, everything. So now, yes, to give you an idea, of course, Anna and I were together. So whenever I would spend the night too at Kay's, yes, Anna and I slept together. We slept on the floor together, under a blanket together. Again, just like with Hershey, did we do the do? No. Did we fool around? Yes, I will admit that. However, the way Kay was putting it was, you know, to use a term in a lifestyle that I know very much about, she acted like I was using Anna as a free use toy. I'll put it that way. If you know the lifestyle I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was not the case. Now, yes, while Anna was living there, did Anna and I have sex in that house? Yes. But it was the same thing. Anna and I had sex in her mom's house when she was living at her mom's. Anna and I had sex here at my mom and dad's house, again, when nobody was around. Anna and I had sex at my aunt and uncle's house in Barnegat when no one was around. Or at night when we knew everybody was asleep. We never did anything when other people were around. Full-fledged, sex-wise. Yes, at night when people were asleep. Especially like that, when we would do a sleepover. Did her and I fool around? Yes. I will openly, wholeheartedly admit that. But never once did I use that house as a brothel like Kay suggested. So now we're going to move on to the next part. Okay, here we go. Rekindling. So in this case, it was Kay and I rekindling our friendship, or trying to rekindle our friendship. So again, the two subsections are trying to rekindle our friendship, and then the rules she tried to put forward, which ultimately kind of made me go, nah. So, okay. So after Anna and I officially broke up for the last time, Kay tried to come and like I said, kind of like rekindle our friendship. She kind of wanted to come and check on me, kind of see how I was doing, everything like that. I was open to it. Even after everything she said and did, I was open to it. Because I'm not one that will try to throw away a friendship, especially as long of a friendship as her and I had. It was over 10 years. So, I'm not one to try and throw that away. So she came over to the house, we talked. She obviously asked me, what happened. I explained to her the story, which maybe I'll do a video on that. I don't know. I mean, I do use this channel as a therapeutic kind of thing, so it's possible. But anyway, I explained the story to her. I told her what happened. And ultimately, it was like, okay. Like I said, we decided we were going to try and give our friendship another shot, another go-around. Try and make it work. Which was something I wanted, Like I said, we were always very good friends. Again, since freshman year of high school. We did so much together. So it's like, yes, let's try. Let's go. So we started hanging out again, little by little. But I noticed a huge change in Kay. Now, at this point in time, Kay was diagnosed with epilepsy. Now, one of her biggest things was, and some of this I'll read too when we get into some of the stuff I found on Facebook. She likes to blame other people for her having her epilepsy episodes. It's never her taking responsibility for her own stress or anything like that. It's automatically she has to blame somebody else, and that's kind of her MO for a lot of things. When I look back on everything, and even when I've talked with certain people about the relationship, that they've even agreed it was a toxic relationship, which back then I had no idea about toxic relationships. I mean, now I know the signs to look for. Back then I didn't. So, like I said, we tried. And, like I said, she started to put these rules. And there was one big rule in particular that she put, which I guess now will then bring me to that sub-point. So, yes, the rules she tried to put forward. some of the biggest rule of them all that she tried to put forward was, and I'm paraphrasing, you will do what I want to do, and that is it. You will go where I want to go, you will do what I want to do, and that is all. You will have no say into what we do. Like, it was to a point to where it's like, let's just say I was planning a trip for us to go into New York for a day, because that was something we did, was go into New York for a day. I would have no say over where we would go eat, anything. I couldn't even put in my 2 cents about where we would go, what we would do. It's what she would want to do, where she would want to go. Again, I would have no say in it whatsoever, and if I did say anything to it, it would get shot down automatically. That was ultimately what ended up being the biggest red flag out of them all. And that was definitely something that kind of made me go, this isn't kosher. This isn't how it should be. And yeah, it just got to a point where I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm taking my life back in this sense, and no, I am not going to that is not how a friendship works. Those were actually my exact words to her. That is not how a friendship works. A friendship is 50-50. It's not one person takes and says everything and the other person just has to sit there and take it. No. Like, when I would plan trips to New York, it would always be, I would sit there and go, so yeah, like, this is where I want to go. Like, this is what I want to do. Are there any places you want to go? And I would work that into an itinerary. It was even the same thing. Like, when we went to Hershey, it was a different story because we had a planned thing going there. That was for the concert. But, because I knew we wanted to make it, at least a 2-day thing. If you don't take the day that we got there and slept pretty much all day. We knew the concert was the one day, but we wanted to do another day in Hershey. So it's like, okay, well, what can we do? I brought up Chocolate World. Everybody agreed on Chocolate World as something we can do. So, it was a mutual agreement, which is how it should be. It wasn't just me sitting there and demanding, like, yeah, no, we're going to Chocolate World and that's it. So it was stuff like that. And it was just, she weaponized a lot of things against me too. She tried to constantly use my grandfather against me. And that was something that, when I start to look back on it, I'm like, no. You're not going to use my hero, the man who I look up to, the man who I idolize. Again, who's not an athlete, who's not a sports star, or anything like that. The man I love, the man I look up to. You're not going to weaponize him against me. And I took that stand. And I took myself back. And ultimately, yeah, that was it. That was the end of it. But the story doesn't end there. So let's get to the next point.